In today's episode, I am going to be sharing with you how to get rid of ghosts and spirits in your home. I'm going to go over all the details, how to completely normalize this experience. It's a lot easier than you think it is. I'm going to tell you all the tools you need, exactly step by step what to do, and I even have a free PDF guide for you that takes you through all the steps, and you can download those. You'll find them below in the show notes. And so I hope you really enjoy this episode. I think it's very important, something that we should all know how to do, and I'm just excited to guide you through it. Be sure to comment below if you have any questions. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you get notified with all of my upcoming episodes. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Natalie Schlute. I am your manifestation coach and spirit guide channeler. Today's episode is all about how to get rid of ghosts and spirits in your home. Now, for me, this is kind of an exciting topic, to be very transparent and honest. I actually really like this topic. And the reason why I get so excited about this topic is because I find that there's a lot of misconception. A lot of people get afraid of the idea of having spirits in their home, and there's a lot of amplification of fears for most people when it comes to this subject. But from my personal experience, and this is where I get excited, I'm really excited to share with you that it's really not that big of a deal. Overall, in Hollywood and on TV, they make it seem like it's so much worse than it really is. And in all honesty, the only things they show in movies and TV shows nowadays is the scary paranormal stuff that is amplified with special effects or adding sounds, or they're seeking out the worst of the worst ghost experiences in the world. So all you're seeing is 1% on TV of what's really happening in the spiritual world. And what you don't understand is that almost everyone has some sort of spirit that wanders through their home at some point. It is very, very common. It is very, very normal. We live in dimensions that overlay on top of each other. So of course there's going to be stuff all around you. You just don't know it's there. Now, I say that not to freak you out, but I say that to help you to understand that this is a normal thing. I really want to normalize the idea of having spirits around us and having spirits in our homes, because I see them. I encounter them when I go to friends' houses. I have cleared out spirits from every apartment and home that I've lived in over the last decade. And I've even had some wander in and had to clear them out. And it's totally normal. It's as if, there's this hype around it. And I want to make sure that you understand it's really not that scary. It really isn't. It doesn't have to be. And what I have found is that most people that learn how to clear their homes of spirits, they end up freaking themselves out in the process. And when I try to teach this process to people, and I'm just going to be really transparent about this, I come across it as, hey, this is just an entity. This is just a spirit. 99% of people are normal, are fine, are totally cool. And it's the same with spirits too. Most of them are just lost. Maybe they're a little bit confused. They don't have any ill intentions. They're just wandering. They're just there. And so most of what you're going to encounter is not scary at all. But what I find happens is once I teach people to do this, or people have talked to me about doing their own house clearings, they freak out. They are so scared when they're going through the process of saging and clearing their house that their own fears then become amplified to them. So they start projecting outward their subconscious fears around spirits because they don't know, they can't see it, they can't feel it, they can't hear it. And all of a sudden they're creating their own fears, and what they end up experiencing is not actually what the spirit was doing. It's not actually what was happening. It isn't necessarily that there was anything super dark going on. All that happened was the individual who was doing the clearing is the one who freaked out. And then it became this really intense experience, not because of anything physically or energetically happening, but just because of the projected subconscious fears. So understand that we freak ourselves out, right? And most people, if you think about it, we do this all the time. We worry. We have fears about the future. We have regrets and fears and angers about the past. And we actually create our own OCD behaviors. We create our own anxiety. We create our own panic attacks. And often that's what I see happening in these types of situations. And so I wanted to create this episode in particular to help stop that. Let's try and not let that happen this time around, right? Let's actually see if we can move forward, if we can make this a happy, healthy experience, just like cleaning your house or, doing any kind of feng shui where you're setting things up to make it feel better. That's how I really want you to approach this process of clearing your house, whether it's clearing it of energy, stagnant energy, because it could be your old energy from the last year, the last 10 years, any fights that you've had in your home, any things that have gone on, that energy can linger. Those vibrations can settle in the actual physical area. And so it can kind of create this funk, right? Just like things kind of pile up around our home and things get messy, energy can get messy too. Energy can get very messy. And so sometimes what we're feeling when we're in a home or when we walk into someone else's home or any other kind of building, it's not necessarily that it's the energy of a spirit, but sometimes it's just stagnant energy from people, from the people that have walked through and touched things and what they were going through. And you can feel that energy. Other times there are spirits there, and a lot of times they're not that bad. And that's what I want to remind you of is even if you do have some spirits that are hanging out in your home, it doesn't mean that they're doing anything to you. It doesn't mean that there's anything bad or dark or, that kind of stuff going on. But just like if you had a random person that you didn't know hanging out in your living room every day, you would be picking up on their energy. You'd be picking up on their emotions. You'd be picking up on what they were going through, and it might make you feel a little wonky. We all have empath abilities. We can all feel energy. This is across the board. There is no one that is exempt from this. People can shut off their ability to feel by just not paying attention, right? If you're not paying attention to what your body is feeling, what your emotions are doing, and you've learned how to build these walls because through your childhood programming, you became unaware of your own emotions, of your own processes and patterns, then yeah, you can block yourself from feeling empathic energy. But we are all human. We all have the ability to do this, some more than others, depending on how many lifetimes you had and the skill sets that you've had through all of those lifetimes and in the in-between lives. But in general, we all have the ability to empathically and energetically feel everything. This is why I truly believe everyone has the ability to be more psychic, more intuitive, to manifest anything that they desire, and to even channel spirit guides and angels if they so choose to. If you have the passion and desire, you have a physical body, you are capable of doing all of these things. Before we get into the step-by-step details, I just wanted to share with you a quick story of a few of the house clearings that I've done so that you have an idea of what it may be like. Now, it's completely normal to get nervous. I even sometimes still get nervous. It's okay to get nervous when you're house clearing because you never know what you're going to encounter. Most people don't experience anything, but mostly they're experiencing their own fears coming up. And so this process is actually helping you. It's helping you be aware of these fears that you have so that you can process through them, so that you can face your fear and move forward with your life anyway and do what you need to do to clear your home and your space. It can also be a very calm and lovely experience as well. The first time I ever did a house clearing, it was an apartment that I had about a decade or so ago, and I kept seeing these shadows kind of going by between the living room and the kitchen, and I had noticed it for a few months, and then my husband and I, we were dating at the time, we went to a woman who was a metaphysician, and she ended up mentioning that there was a spirit, and I had already knew there was because I'd already seen it. As an intuitive person, I've had this skill for years. I just didn't have it as fine-tuned, and it wasn't as obvious and clear to me back then. It was one of those things where it's like, did I really see that? I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I'm making it up. And that's how my intuition showed up for me for decades before I really decided to hone in, focus, and master my skills so that I felt more confident with all the readings and things that I was experiencing. So I was already picking it up. And she mentioned that this energy was just kind of confused. He seemed very lost. And that is exactly how I felt. As he walked back and forth and I kept seeing this shadow every once in a while, it felt like he didn't know where to go. And so when we did that house clearing, it was so simple, so easy. All that happened was we sent him to the light and he took off. And then there was no shadows going in and out of the hallway. Now understand that if you're seeing shadows, yes, it might be a spirit, but it could just be a car driving by, right? It could just be some headlights that move through the window. Or again, it could be you projecting the thought that there's a spirit in your home and being fearful, and then your mind actually creates that reality. You start seeing shadows even though they may or may not really be there. Understand that the more you fixate on these thoughts and ideas, the more you bring them up and ruminate on the idea of seeing spirits, the more encounters you're going to have, whether it's just coming from your subconscious mind or whether it's coming from an actual experience that you're having. It's a very subtle difference between the two. It's more than we can talk about in this video, but this is something that I do teach in more detail in my online academy, Step Into Your Power Academy, with my coaching students. So if that's something you're interested, then seek that out. You can find all my information on my website and get on my email list so that you know when my academy opens, and you can enroll in that if this is something that you're more interested in learning more about. I have also encountered really lovely spirits that were so warm and grateful for me doing the house clearing. In the current place that I live, the apartment above us, the condo above us, was empty for a few years because a woman passed away. She was elderly, and then it was passed on to her children, and they didn't do anything with the apartment for a really long time. It was just empty. And what ended up happening was about 2 years later, after I'd moved in, they started working on cleaning up that unit so that they could rent it out. They started doing construction, they redid the floors, the walls, they repainted, they redid the kitchen, they were doing a bunch of stuff, work up there. And I happened to notice that all of a sudden, once again, there was this shadow going between my bedroom and the hallway. And I noticed it, and I just thought it was kind of strange. Once again, at first, I was like, is this my imagination, or is this something really going on? And my logical mind said, no, it's not a spirit. Of course it's not. You clear the apartment regularly. You cleared it when you got there. There's no reason for a spirit to be there. And then one day I was sitting in meditation. I did like maybe a 30-minute to an hour meditation. And when you're in a deep meditative state, that's when you're able to tap into the spiritual world much easier. And so the energy kind of shifted for me, and I was more in tune with spiritual energy. And all of a sudden, when I opened my eyes out of meditation, I looked over and I was like, oh, yes, that's very obvious now that there is a spirit in my apartment. So I went through and I did a clearing. Once again, I was a little nervous, but as I did the clearing and I mentioned, part of the mantra and the incantation that I'm going to teach you is about sending anyone that is not invited into your home to the light. Leave through the window and go to the light. And so she did. I saw this energy swoosh towards the sliding doors on my patio. And then she zoomed back in front of my face. And it was the warmest, most loving energy. She gave me a big thank you. I'm very clairaudient, so I actually heard her and I felt her warm energy. She said, thank you so much. She was so grateful for me guiding her to the light, because she didn't realize that she had passed on and that she could move on. She was the sweetest woman and just so much gratitude. And then she just took off and left. And I think what happened was, because she passed away in her apartment and in her home, and then nothing happened with it. It's not like anyone moved in right away. And her children, they kind of left it there without doing any remodel for a few years. She just didn't really understand that she had completely crossed over, or that she had moved on. I'm assuming she was probably lingering in her apartment upstairs for a while. And then once they started construction, all of a sudden her spirit realized something was happening, something wasn't right. She got very confused and she came down into my space and just came one level down, and I was able to help her through that. So doing a house clearing and a home clearing can be a really beautiful experience. Like for me, that was a really lovely experience. Now I know it's going to be different for everyone, and I know every experience is unique, and sometimes there are spirits that are a little more stubborn, maybe in the lifetime that they just left, whether it was a few days ago, years ago, decades ago, and they're still kind of in the in-between here on earth. Maybe they were angry. Maybe they had a lot of resentment, some unresolved business, some things, goals that they didn't get met, and so they have a lot of repressed energy. Know that you might encounter that, because the energies that I've encountered with spirits are very, very different from one to the next. When I'm channeling ancestors and loved ones that have passed on and they come back because I'm calling them in, they have resolved a lot of things. They've already crossed over. So their energy is very light, very open. The ones that are in the in-between, that might be floating around your home or in your space and in your environment, those are the ones that maybe they're a little lost, they're a little confused, maybe they still have some anger, some things. But again, We all have those things. They're just humans, right? They were humans at one point, and they're kind of in that in between human slash spirit phase where they haven't released all of their human tendencies, but they're somewhere in between. And so you're not going to be afraid of every human that walks down the street and crosses you. Hopefully not. And you shouldn't be of spirits either, because 99 plus out of 100 times you're going to experience nothing. It's going to be not a big deal when you cross someone's path. And that's how it is with clearing spirits from your home and your environment and your space too. The far, far, far majority, no one is going to harm you and no one is going to do anything to you. And that's how the spiritual world works as well. Now, with that said, we always want to be mindful and be strong, right? We want to be in our own confidence, in our own body, in our own integrity with who we are and holding our space. And so a house clearing is really more about you taking control of your space, taking control of your home and declaring, this is my home, this is my space, this is my environment. And if I don't want you here, you have to leave. And it would be the same if a human being walked into your apartment or your home off the street, right? You'd be like, hey, you don't belong here. This is my home. And that's the exact same energy you want to have when you are clearing your home of spirits as well. You want to have that same conviction in your voice, in your body, in your vibration, in your energy, in your emotions that this is my space, this is my home, and what I say goes here. So this is really about taking your control back as you're doing this clearing. It's great for energy clearing, it's great for spirit clearing, but it's also about empowering you. And that's the beautiful part that I think people don't talk about. They're thinking about just the spirit and, oh, I have to get this thing out. But really, it's about you embodying your highest, strongest, most confident self. And that's the energy that is going to shoo away anything that you don't want in your home. So let's get into the actual steps. Very few things you need. I recommend getting some white sage because that sage is going to clear the energy, clear the space, and shoo out the actual spirits that might be around. Obviously, in order to light the sage, you will need some matches or a lighter. And then you have the option of something to catch all the ashes with. So whether that's a glass bowl or an abalone shell, some people also like to use feathers, like some type of bird feather, in order to move the smoke. I just hold on to the sage and I just wave it around with my hand and keep it very simple and easy. But those are really the only absolute essential things that you need. An optional thing that you can do is create an altar. And that's just putting together a few items like candles, pictures. You can put some angel cards out, maybe a statue of Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, or Buddha, crystals, anything that you desire. It's not absolutely essential to create an altar. Most of the time I don't do it because I'm doing it more frequently. But if you really feel called to do a beautiful ceremony for your home, I encourage you to create a little altar if you want to. It's something that you can just set up and take down, or you can leave up for a little while if you like. It can be on an end table, a coffee table, wherever you choose, but just set something really pretty up, something that has a bunch of little items that bring your vibration into alignment, that help you to set an intention for what you want to create, which is a clear home, a clear space, and have fun with it. It's really meant to be just a fun part of intention setting, and that intention setting brings more energy and power to what you're physically doing. In the free download PDF, I have all of the details, everything you need. I have sample pictures of what an altar can look like, and I also have the scripts written out word for word that you can use. You can use something different than what I give you, but just to give you an example, there is an opening ceremony that you want to say, something just to open up the ritual of actually lighting the sage and doing the clearing of the space. There's an incantation that you will be using throughout as you clear the space to shoo out all of the spirits and all of the negative energy. And then finishing with a nice closing ceremony statement is also really helpful, just to bookend and finish this ritual that you're doing in order to set that intention of taking back your space. Once you have everything ready, you've set up your altar, or you've gotten the basic pieces of things you need, which is just sage and a lighter, then you're ready to get started. You can put on some beautiful music if you like. You can have some singing bowls in the background, whatever you are called to do, mood lighting, whatever you prefer. Then you can start with your opening prayer. This is the perfect time to call in any of your angels, your spirit guides, God, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Mother Mary, anyone that you choose to follow or that feels in alignment with your spiritual beliefs. Call them in to help you. If you have any ancestors, people that have passed on, your loved ones that you want to call in to help assist you in clearing your home, this is a great time to do that. So the opening prayer that I have for you is: God, angels, spirit guides, and loved ones of the highest love and light, I call you in to assist me in clearing the energy of my home and creating a safe, sacred space to live for me and my family. We have a happy, loving home and welcome only those souls of the highest vibration. Anyone here that is not of the highest vibration in love and light will leave today and never return. Thank you for your assistance in this process. So something as simple as that, you can just speak from your heart and open up this ceremony. You do want to start with opening the windows and doors. Make sure all doors and windows are open so that smoke can move out and so that the spirits have a place to move to. Once you've done your opening ceremony, then you're going to move around your home saying an incantation. And as you do this incantation, you're just going to gently wave the sage around, or if you have your sage sitting in a bowl or abalone, you can use a feather or your hand to wave the smoke around. But what you're going to do is you're going to go each corner of the room, start low, work your way up into each corner, and just move around the room. You want to have enough smoke so that you feel as if the smoke has moved through the space, but don't have so much smoke that you're coughing, you're sneezing. We don't want to overwhelm the space. I want you to be able to breathe comfortably and be okay with it. If you feel like you want to go for a walk or go run some errands right after this and keep all the doors and windows open, that's great. As you move through the space, clearing with sage, the incantation that I have for you, and you can do this or something similar, it's okay if it's in your own words, but it's about you being strong in your convictions that this is my home, this is my space, and what I say goes. This home is a space of pure love and light. Only those that I choose are welcome in my home. Anyone that is not of the highest vibration of love and light must leave now, through the open door or window. It is time for you to go to the light and cross over. As you're doing this, I want you to be doing a sweeping motion in the shape of a cross, side to side, up and down, over and over again, side to side, up and down. And as you do that, you're going to say this incantation over every door, every archway, and every window, and every mirror. Doors, archways, mirrors, and windows are all portals for spirits to come in and out of your space. And so this is the way of clearing all of these spaces for you. And you ask them to leave out the door, leave out the window, and to never return. So it can be as simple as sweeping back and forth, up and down with the sage. Anyone that's not here of the highest love and light, anyone that is uninvited, leave now through the open door. And just say that over and over again. If you have been feeling some heavy spirits in your space, if you genuinely feel like you have something heavier or darker, you may need to get a little bit louder, you may need to yell a little bit and shoo them out. Get aggressive if you need to. And that's really just for the stubborn spirits. But they will listen to you. If you have enough conviction and you take ownership of your space, they will clear out. If there's anything more you need, if you're having massive issues, if you think someone has taken over a body of someone in your home or is influencing them in a negative way, you're noticing bigger things happening, accidents happening, things like that, I highly recommend make sure that you go find a professional, an exorcist, go to a priest, find someone that can assist you and come in and do that work in your home. You may need multiple people to come in, Reiki healers, energy healers, and psychics to come in and clear your space. But that's on the extreme side, right? That's, 1 in 100, 1 in 10,000. I don't know what that number really is, but it's very minimal. Most people, you don't need to do any of that. But if you genuinely feel like this is not enough and it is over your head, then please seek professional help. And this is just a general guidance for general clearing. Once you've cleared all of your space, you may feel something, you may not, then have a nice closing prayer. And the closing prayer that I have for you is: thank you, God, angels, spirit guides, and loved ones, for helping me clear the energy in my home. I am grateful for your ongoing support in my home and in my life. My home is my sacred space filled with high vibrations of love and light. My family is safe now and always. So it's as simple as that. Moving through your home, burning the sage, having an opening and closing prayer, and then shooing out anything that you do not want. Take ownership of your home, have so much love in your heart and so much strength in your heart that this is your space. And this is a beautiful practice to do. It's great to just do a general sage clearing. You don't have to do all the ceremony and all the incantations if you don't want to. If you're just doing a weekly or daily quick clearing of your space, just getting your own energy out so that you're renewed each day. But if you do have spirits, I highly recommend going through this step-by-step process, getting the downloaded PDF, which you can find in the notes below. This is also added into my free download library. So all of my freebies are in my free download library. I put them all in one place. That way you don't have to opt in 30 different times for all of the free content that I have. You can just get them all in one spot. So that's included there too. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. I want to make sure that you feel comfortable with this. And again, it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel weird about it. It's okay if stuff comes up, but no, most of the time it's self-projected. Often your fears are actually creating those experiences and not the actual spirits themselves. But this is a beautiful process to go through. I would love for you to get comfortable with this, to do it regularly. That way your energy is not being interfered with by anyone or anything else, including your own old stagnant energy that might be in your household. And then just a kind of a nice, easy thing to do after, usually once the dust has settled, a few hours later, the next day, I like to vacuum everything, right? Do a quick little wipe down and cleaning of everything because there might be a little bit of the ash that's been settled on everything. I actually also use, after I do the sage, I'll go and I'll quickly go through my space with incense so that it covers up the sage smell a little bit. Sage is not my favorite scent, so I use a better smelling incense just to make my space smell a little bit better and keep those doors and windows open, just to flush out all the air, let the wind come through, put on a fan, and just have that nice, beautiful energy moving. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. I hope it gave you a ton of information, helped give you clarity on what you can do to clear ghosts and energy from your space. Again, I want to normalize this. It's not scary. It can be easy. It can be fun, and it can be a great little ritual that you do. Be sure to get the download and let me know if you have any questions about this. Please share this episode with anyone that you think this could help. I really want to make sure that this information is getting out so that people are learning and understanding how to do this the proper way. It's actually fairly difficult to find this level of information on the internet. As I was searching, there just wasn't a lot out there. So the more good quality content with more detailed steps that can be out in the world for people to help with these type of situations, since it's something that we all deal with and encounter whether we realize it or not, it can be really helpful. So thank you so much. All of your interactions really, really help. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Make sure that you subscribe and then also hit that bell so that you get notified with all of my upcoming videos. I have tons of playlists on my YouTube channel so that you can binge watch over and over again all the videos that you like on similar subjects within the spiritual, metaphysical, and manifestation realm. And I'm so excited to see you in the next episode.